And look what yellow does. With a total of 47, 46 paladins, he is doing what teal did early in the game. He's charging through. Can he do it? Yes, there's a hole. And he is running straight through the front line into the economy. And red is giving gray a run for his money. And Team East is ahead. Purple continuing to dominate here. It took down this castle, taking down town centers. But it's kind of a stalemate. Neither side really has the advantage right now. We have a castle and trebs back here, longbows, fully upgraded. Alright, welcome everyone to another very memorable game of Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. Alright folks, so this is actually a ranked game that happened not too long ago, just a couple days ago. So this is just an old school recording that I'll do here, harking back to before the tournament that we organized recently. Alright, so this is team, you'll see here we have Team West versus Team East. These are the cool colors versus the warm colors. And it's being played, of course, on the Nomad, or sorry, not the Nomad, on the Oasis map. Of course, on the Arctic version of it. I always find it a bit funny to see snow in an oasis, which usually they're found in the desert. But anyway, I digress. All right, so Team West, we have blue here playing Britons, Samuels. This is me here in the pocket position playing Byzantines, and then we have Vietnamese on the eastern flank. And then on Team East, we have red playing Vietnamese. Actually, we have two mirrors here, Vietnamese and Vietnamese right across from each other. Yellow is playing Huns, so a cavalry civ. And then we have also Britons. I actually didn't even notice that in the game, that we have two mirroring civilizations. So purple playing Britons and blue as well. Alright, so I'm just going to speed it up here a little bit. Alright, so on this map, of course, what we can expect to see is both teams walling off. That's, of course, something you need to do to kind of support to give your side a chance to boom. But, it is a bit of a race against time because a lot of the time some teams will try to go all in and will try to beat the wall, so to speak, so to raid the opponent before they can get the wall off. So here we see gray beginning to fall off on the southern side, and on the northern side we see that blue has also started walling. So far, no walls from Team East. So this game was not played in any type of tournament or anything like that. It was just a ranked game, but I really thought it was memorable because it very typically of these replays that I do was memorable for being just a very long game. Usually ranked games, maybe their average is 45 minutes, maybe 35 minutes in-game time. You see the in-game time here. I won't disclose how long it was exactly, but let's just say it was above average. And definitely went back and forth quite a bit. So that being said, let's just see how it plays out. Alright, so we see gray continuing to wall. A little bit of a scout duel happening here. So I do know that the two players that were allied with me, we do play together occasionally. And so I don't know if Team East, if they had played together before. Maybe they have, maybe not. Well, I don't think they would have, but I just don't know. So, all right. So Team West has now almost completely walled off. So Team West has succeeded in doing that. Team East so far, no real walls to speak of. Just dropping a stables there, which is interesting for a player on the wing to do. Usually you'd expect to see a archery range there, but that is what red is going for. Alright, so Team East, 2 of them are up into Feudal Age. So we do see that they are slightly faster and are actually ahead of the score right now. The Britons on Team East has dropped a archery range, so we'll have to keep track of that and see what happens here on the Britons duel as opposed to the Vietnamese duel. So Gray's wall is up, still no wall from Team East. So let's speed it up a little bit here. A little bit of a late feudal there for myself and Gray, but that's alright. Alright, so everyone's up into feudal now. Still no walls from Team East. So I guess one interesting thing is just obviously which side each of the cavalry civ players choose to go for. So if the pocket will choose to support the southern flank or the northern flank. So here we see that red, even though he is a cavalry civ, is coming in with some scouts. Not a bad move, to be honest, but it is slightly too late, and we see that Gray has already walled off his side of the map. And actually Gray is arriving now with some spears. Red doesn't see it and gets away with a couple units, but not much. Alright, so blue is slowly amassing some units here. I think I did get one kill there. Oh, no, I didn't. And instead I lose my horse. Alright, well that backfired. So Team West ahead again, but you see it switched a little bit earlier. Blue standing on the elevations. Yeah, so it really is interesting to see these two civs squaring off to see what they do with it. So far, pretty conservative play, nothing too overly ambitious. I will mention that this game was played just a week out from my first game in the Golden Bow Cup, which is being hosted on the Hermetica channel, and just recently the Battle for the Continents tournament, which I organized, which was on the Sins of the Night Discord, concluded. But happy to be back and looking at some new interesting games. Alright, so still a pretty tame opening, no major pushes on either side, although just as I say that, here comes purple. So Team East is once again ahead, and we'll have to see how he plays it here. Alright, so did not get any kills, although did a good job of interrupting this harvesting here. It's always a bit tricky to know whether to include your berries in the wall. I tend not to do that, but I can see why you would. Might as well maximize the use of natural berries, but I wouldn't recommend that. But blue did use it, and he has a very decent force here. See, we've got 14 archers against purple's 14, exactly 14 each, so pretty close mirror. Much quieter on the southern flank. Alright, so red is coming. Red, that's interesting, all the way from the southern side, has showed up with some scouts. Here is yellow as well. And Team East is now knocking on the door, looking for weaknesses and probing for a way in. And we have our first knights arriving. So yellow does show up with the Hun knights. Teal far away from having any forces as far as I can tell. So blue is on his own right now. I believe we have 2 town centers from Gray, 2 from Teal, and just the 1 from Blue so far. And on the other side, just the single town center so far. So Team East definitely having the advantage right now on the front line. But, of course, Team West is now ahead in the score again. And Teal has decided to show up with 2 scouts. I mean, that's, I guess that's gonna do it for now. Oh, our first knight arrives. Not too much happening here on the southern side. Red decides to go back with his scouts. And Blue is moving out. So we'll have to keep an eye here. Blue does get the crossbow upgrade slightly before Purple. Purple's kicks in right now. So unfortunately Blue did not catch them before the upgrade, but honestly very close. 24 against 19. So we do not see the, I don't think he sees it. Alright, this is what he sees. Alright, and so not too much movement as of yet. Purple now deciding, I guess, or has for a while now been dropping his own walls. Yellow massing up the knights up to 9 compared to Teal's 3. And Purple having almost completed the wall, and Team East is decidedly ahead in the score again. Well, not decidedly, maybe on average 50 points more, not by much. Gray is dropping here this castle. Alright, so we'll see what happens now. We see Team East is beginning to push again. Teal dropping a castle with that 1 lone villager. He's got to build that whole castle. And this is beginning to look scary here for Team West. Blue doing an amazing job though of just defending here by himself. Very close in terms of economy, 46, 47 villagers. And Yellow's knights are again continuing to push hard here. And Purple is almost through. Alright, so really beginning to It's getting a little bit desperate here. Purple definitely knocking on the door. Gray asking if I will assist, and I am saying, actually he thought that I was offering him help, but Gray is definitely fine on that side. Alright, so our first more intense engagement here, and Blue coming at that fairly well, losing 1 crossbow. Team East, I would say, failing to take advantage of this. He probably could have charged in with these knights. He was through. There are no walls back here. It's a little bit of a strategic error. I think Yellow should have jumped on that and decided to go further if he could have. I mean, actually he could. He could definitely have done it. So kind of question that decision there, but that's fine. Red dropping a castle up here on the elevations. Smart move. Still no walls though. So Team East is still open right now. Team West moving out. Just a little bit of a chess game here. Both sides jockeying for position. So I do believe I was caught out of position there for a moment. Gotta love that about Age of Empires, the way they really does feel like a game of chess sometimes. On the other hand, though, little bit, I guess, simplistic just to see two armies microing around. So I do think this villager goes down. They do catch it. Poor villager does not live to see the next day. Nonetheless, though, Team West beginning to really have a army advantage here. Almost 20 more units. And Gray trying to get some conversions in here. And it works. He gets both of them, I think, or he got one of them. Still trying. So I do think that Gray definitely is out muscling Red down here, but we'll have to just keep an eye on that. Red dropping another castle. And this is a bit ugly here. Team East is losing quite a number of knights. These knights, which could have been running around the back of Team West's base, instead dying at the front line here. A monk going down, and Team West definitely looks like has the overwhelmingly upper hand right now. Getting further and further ahead, and now knocking on the door and taking out this blacksmithy. So right now, I'm surprised to see Purple not dropping some kind of a castle or something, although he is dropping some new, sorry about that, some new archer ranges. He is sitting on a decent amount of gold. Alright, so Teal does get his Cavalier upgrade in. And runs through. Oh, so here's the castle. And I believe we have some cataphracts mixed in there as well. So a camel going down, no way through here. But Teal decides to run around. So Blue does say take out production. I don't agree with that though. I think that's not what cavalry should be doing. Cavalry should be running around and raiding. Oh, another camel going down. Should be running around and raiding the economy. That's what cavalry is good for. They're mobile and they're able to be everywhere and nowhere. And actually, I think I just run right around Purple's army here. And I am these. How many units is that? I guess 16 units. These 16 units are going to be doing what they can. And here begins the raiding. Pretty even exchange here as far as I can tell. Okay, 66 archers against 48. Purple does get the Arbalester upgrade in. But he needs to flee at home. And so a little bit of quite a bit of idle time here. Fortunately, I did not change this rally point, so my cavalry reinforcements continue to run in and die. Purple doesn't see this, neither do I. But I continue to run around at the back of the base, and I really think this is what cavalry are good for. Just causing a lot of harassing at the back, causing all kinds of economic disarray, taking out a couple of villagers in the process. And actually, interestingly, they can continue to get upgraded. So I upgraded them to heavy camels, and I think the paladin upgrade will come in as well eventually. So this is a real Vietnamese duel happening here. We've got 6 castles all in the same, right next to each other. Excuse me. Purple now putting pressure on Blue. Blue did not get the Arbalester upgrade up, just coming in now. So now we have 63 Arbalesters against Purple's 51. All in all, pretty close. Gray seeming to have the upper hand here with more trebs. I don't see Red having any trebs so far. Oh, he does have 2, but they must be in the castle. And this has got to be one of the more ugly moments in the game. Red simply does not see this. So if you look at Red's villager count, was it 80? We'll have to keep an eye on that. Was it 80? A little bit of a hopeless charge there. Just simply doesn't call to arms. He doesn't see it. He's busy here, shooting back. He does not see that his base is being raided. Down to 59 so far. And purple is retreating. So Team West is still definitely ahead there. And honestly, it's starting to feel a bit dominant. Blue is on the offense here. Purple retreating, the strongest player. Gray is pushing forward, took out his first castle. Using onagers to take out these archers. And Red continuing to lose villagers, down to 38. Remember, he started off at 80. Alright, so Paladin upgrade is in now. Yellow does arrive now and sees it, but damage has been done, down to 30, 29. 28 villagers. Remember, it was at 80, so he lost a grand total of 52 villagers. So Red's economy thankfully has a lot of food, but has lost a huge number of villagers. And if we watch now, we can see that he is going to be producing new villagers here non-stop. So definitely working really hard to recover from this. So it looks like purple could have a slight edge here. Blue retreats. And unfortunately the timing is just awful here. I do believe, or do I keep them alive? No, they are alive. Okay, that's good. So Team West looking pretty solid overall. Red's villager count now at 29. He is now beginning to pump out new villagers to recover as quickly as he can. But I think this is a real lost opportunity here. So Red is extremely weak. Total population of below for just barely 50. Meanwhile, Gray is at 170, but he doesn't know it. So if he had known it, he might have been able to charge in now with all of his forces, build a bunch of cavalry, and just charge in past these castles into Red's base. And he might have been able to just push Red over the edge right now, but he doesn't quite know how weak Red is. Instead, he focuses on taking down these castles. So a bit of a lost opportunity there, so far anyway. But purple beginning to make a rally here. He gets this castle down. Yellow is beginning to mass cavalry units. Team East maybe still has a chance here, although significantly pretty far behind the score. Teal and blue just dropping all kinds of production buildings here. So I will say that at this point in the game, I honestly thought that we were pretty dominant. I thought, at this stage we have Red he's not crippled, but he's been hit really hard. And we had broken through even purple's base here. So as far as I was concerned, I thought, it's just a matter of time before we punch our way the rest of the way through. And so I didn't really take this front line that seriously. I have to admit, a lot of my units are running in uselessly and just kind of dying single file. This is a bit funny here. We see the hoarding upgrade being upgraded as it's being trebbed. I do believe it gets to finish, just barely. So Gray does take out the remainder of Red's castles. Red has lost all 3 of his castles, But I think from a certain perspective, Red doesn't care. Red is desperately trying to rebound his Vil count. He's up to 64, still way behind, still very small army, but still alive. I think that's all that Red cares about right now. And Grey just not really jumping on it, you know. Doesn't really recognize how weak Red is. Beginning to get, continuing to get stronger, but you know, maybe losing the moment, maybe losing the opportunity. We'll have to see. Meanwhile, Team East apparently getting stronger and stronger. Yellow is just beginning to dominate here somewhat. Teal's units is kind of running in one by one. Teal down to trash units, which is of course convenient as he's Byzantine, so he gets cheap trash units. But nothing beats gold units, right? And all of these skirmishers, Imperial skirmishers, not having much of a chance, and we see castle after castle from Team West going down here. Team East is definitely closing the gap, and Grey really not moving very fast. You're targeting a house, but I'm not sure. Don't want to be too critical of Grey there, but not really running through. And now the situation is getting really desperate here. We see Teal's military count down to 54. Blue down to 18, whereas purple is at 69, yellow at 39. So Team East definitely outnumbering Team West on this front line here. And doing a really great job of creating all kinds of great choke points here. This castle doesn't even go up and gets destroyed, gets nipped in the bud. This castle does go up though. I believe it's around this point here that I'm really beginning to realize the magnitude of what's happening here. And I can see that blue is hurting. Now I flag it, I say to my ally red is wide open. I killed most of his villas, so I'm telling my ally Grey to run in because I've noticed that he hasn't really moved on it yet. And yet, of all the things that he sends in the skirmishers, his pikemen he leaves at home. And guess what red shows up with? Cavaliers. And so what I just said to Grey probably didn't seem to make sense because I told him that red was weak, and now he's losing some units. But red beginning to move forward. But things are getting quite desperate here on the northern front line, and we see purple and yellow virtually maxed out. Fully upgraded, and just beginning to steamroll into blue's base. And blue not really expanding back here. He's got room to expand, but hasn't really expanded to the back of the base. He has a archer count back to 38, so that's great, but definitely his main base here is under threat. He's doing a little bit of a villager evac, that's great. So Team West is beginning to trade. Team East not yet, although they have the markets up. I'm doing the upgrades, I presume. So Team West is beginning to trade here, which is fantastic. But blue kind of on the verge of some kind of a collapse here. And look what yellow does. With a total of 46 paladins, he is doing what teal did early in the game. He's charging through. Can he do it? Yes, there's a hole. And he is running straight through the front line into the economy. So yellow has learned the lesson that teal showed him earlier, I guess you could say. Although I'm sure he always knows all about this before playing against teal. But still, yellow is in teal and blue's base. We see yellow also has paladins out here. I didn't even see that. So gray is beginning to push further and further into red, but you know, red definitely putting up a fight. And look at this, Team East is now ahead in the score. Amazingly, Team East, red, who had lost all his villas, up to 75 villagers, and red is giving gray a run for his money. And Team East is ahead. Purple continuing to dominate here. It took down this castle. taking down town centers, and yellow's paladins are just rampaging through Team West. All over the place. And yet, ironically, and this has happened before in one of my other replays, ironically, it's actually good for Teal right now because Teal has too many villages. I have too many villages here, way too many. And so yellow is actually doing me a bit of a favor by getting rid of excess villages. I don't need them. I have a decent amount of resources, and I have a huge, I call it the phantom bank, where you've got so many units queued up, you've got so many resources just queued up in your production buildings. You don't actually need more than a couple units queued up per building. If you've got 10 units queued up per building, that's way too many. So yellow, ironically, doing me a bit of a favor, you could say, getting rid of excess villagers so that my army count increases. And Team West somehow back ahead, so Team East was actually ahead there, but Red he was able to hold off Grey for a while there, but now Grey does show up with all kinds of battle elephants, 32 Vietnamese battle elephants. He's got this Imperial Skirms, he's got the Helbs, and he is now breaking through Red's base. Red has wisely built some more production buildings here in the corners, but that is bad news for Team East that Grey is bulldozing through. Meanwhile, the front line here seems to be stabilizing a little bit. Blue, though, in a really rough spot. Kill count down to 85. Alright, this was actually a pretty big turning point here, I guess. So I was able to catch these archers out of position, and Purple's archer count down to virtually 0. And I do take down these trebuchets. So Blue's base has been quite amazingly destroyed here. Yellow is still all over the place, still has paladins deep inside of Team West's base. And we see some pretty ugly scenes here. All these trade cards so things are getting messy. A lot of trade cards not working, not doing what they're supposed to be doing. But the army count of Team West is at 230, so above Team East. But Team East actually has a larger army somehow. Maybe that's explained with these elephants. So they have reached Yellow's base. Yellow doesn't really seem to be noticing it, and actually if we could just look at Yellow's resources here, 9,000 food, 8,000 wood, 1,600 gold, and Red also has a lot of gold. So, that's a lot of gold actually. So Team East definitely still has the resources. The question is, can they use those resources to once again turn the tide and get ahead of the score and win this game? Couple of desperate moves here. Teal trying the same trick he did earlier, trying to just run straight through. But Purple has walled off. Oh, he hasn't. Oh my goodness, there's one small space there between those two houses. And he slips through and tries to do damage there. So the map does kind of really oddly mirror each other. You know, you've got Grey deep in Yellow's base, but Yellow is also in Grey's base. So just absolute pandemonium all over here. We see Grey building halberds to take out these paladins, and we see, I believe it's Purple building halberds to take out, yeah, that's right, Purple building halberds to take out Grey's elephant. So both sides responding the way you should against cavalry deep in your base. Excuse me. The game remains extremely close. So I do believe I finally have realized what's happening here, or finally detected these last units. Oh, this is a unfortunate scene over there. So Grey continuing to advance here. He's got elephants deep here still. And Red, you know, he does have enough wood and stone, or at least gold, to rebound quickly. I mean, Yellow has 11,000 food, Red only 23. If he was to send even 1,000 food to Red, Red could do wonders with that food and build all kinds of new villagers. He's proven that he can do that. He's proven that he can rebound and rebuild all these villagers. So we'll have to keep track of that to see if yellow does that and sends food to red so that red can rebound. So blue trying to, teal trying to raid here, but purple does have the counters waiting nearby. Both sides have more or less, you could say, learned from their mistakes. And we missed it, but these paladins took out all of the trade cards that were here, at least most of them. So I had all kinds of trade cards just kind of sitting around, bumming around, and unfortunately my trade card count is down to about 7 or 8. Still have some going, but I'm not sure if I'm even going to be able to see any of them, but a lot of them have been lost. There's a couple left. And still chasing yellow paladins. So a new wall is going up though. And we see that there, after all these battles here, we finally have, I could say, all quiet on the northern front. Purple is though slowly rebounding. I think he's maxed out now. And Gray's elephants, although they've done all kinds of damage, they definitely have not destroyed what's over here. There's still plenty of buildings, plenty of halberds running around. Purple and yellow very much still in action. Oh, you do see the villager and the military count beginning to be pretty strongly in one favor. Alright, so this wall is being built. I'm building this pretty desperately. I'm like, alright, we're not letting that happen again. They came through there pretty I'm not even poking at all. I'm too nervous to poke at the other side here because I saw what happened last time. We poked and then they came smashing through the front gate, so I'm trying to drop this wall as fast as possible, as well as some cannon towers. I decided to drop some cannon towers here on the trade line. Well, still has a couple of paladins running around here. So this entire time I was thinking, alright, I can see that Gray is attacking deep into Team East space, so I could see this happening. So I thought, okay, as long as we hold out on our side of the front line, on our side of the map, then we should be fine, because eventually Gray is going to push further and further into Team East, so it's only a matter of time before we win, right? This is kind of what I was thinking. But the more I thought about it, I was noticing that Gray was doing all kinds of things here, but I noticed he wasn't actually continuing to move forward. In fact, the general gray blob on the map had retreated. It was over here, and now it's kind of been pushed back. So this is when I realized that we can't. This game is not over. We have not won this game yet. I cannot just depend on Gray continuing to push here, or think that Gray is going to necessarily keep the upper hand. I mean, look what happened to us here. We had the upper hand here, and then we got pushed back. Definitely should not assume that Gray has the upper hand here. So purple is dropping new castles and helps, definitely reacting. And we see the military count suddenly shifting here. What's happening? It is yellow beginning to get all kinds of cavalry units out. It's just incredible how long these paladins have been alive. I'm sure each of them has like 30 kills. Thankfully, this front line never collapsed. Obviously, still in great shape. And yellow rebounding here, building new town centers. Although I wouldn't say he doesn't really need more wood. Look at that, 18,000 wood. You don't need more wood. You need units. And notice there was this half burnt out mining camp in the wall, so I made sure to surround that. Alright, so Team West once again pretty dominant here. And the last of yellow's paladins that were raiding at the back of our base have been dealt with. Meanwhile, Gray is actually still pushing. He never stopped pushing over here. It's just this continuous push. But we'll have to see. Can Team East somehow turn it around here? I mean, we see they have the resources. Red is slowly trying to rebuild back here. Of course, he could really use this food from his allies, from yellow. But the military count here from Team East suddenly going up again. Team East is definitely not out. The question is, what can they do to stop the bleeding? You know, what is their answer to this continuous stream of Vietnamese elephants and archers here? He's done a great job of building new production buildings here. And here comes Yellow, and this is when we realize, yeah, Yellow is definitely still alive here. And I gotta say, when I saw this, I thought, oh boy, yeah, this game is not won yet. And I'm not letting it go back to where it was, where they broke through here. We still see the remnants of that. So I do need to retreat. I finally get the halberd upgrade. They're doing a great job of shooting from that elevation up there. Yellow continuing to build paladins. But it's kind of a stalemate. Neither side really has the advantage right now. We have a castle and trebs back here. Longbows. Fully upgraded. Purple even holding out back here. Got that castle up. But red not really engaging so far. Alright, so we're reaching a bit of a climax here, so we'll have to see. Can Team West somehow smash through here? My military count actually went pretty low there. I think I lost most of my units. Got this tower up, but let's see if that lasts. So the Team East is doing an amazing job of protecting these longbows. Teal does have cannons now, but they are running in like idiots. And Purple is sniping them. Purple is sniping these cannons, and that tower goes down. And what's this? Team West is retreating again. I think Team East is definitely doing a better job of microing the units here. Although we do have the counter. I just remember thinking this is just absolutely wild. Thankfully our trade is up and running again. They are trading as well though, so we'll just have to see who wins the trade war. So Yellow does lose his cavalry here. These halberds come in, and what's this? Cannons are going for the longbows, avenging their brother cannons that got killed off earlier. Purple does take out the last cannons, but those longbows go down. And with the loss of those longbows, you see the military count below 100 or almost below. Team West continuing to knock on the door. And the numbers are really beginning to show now. So Red never really recovered here. I mean, he's eventually got a new force together, but hasn't really come back into action. His build count is still very low at 44. He never really was able to take advantage of that. And there it is, the GG's. Purple and Yellow leaving the game. Gray having successfully broken through Purple's defenses here, although Purple did quite an amazing job with his castles, all these castles, protecting the trade line, the base. I mean, I'm not sure, can we count how many castles that is? That's all kinds, 5, 6, all kinds of castles here. Of course, one down there, but Purple just doing a absolutely awesome job, colossal job there at fighting on both front lines, and then keeping his team in it. Yellow, game ends, he's got 39 paladins. I do feel like Yellow had a little bit more potential in him there. I mean, he's got 3,000, over 3,000 gold, 10,000 wood. Mentioned it several times, but I mean, just a little bit of that. I mean, some of those resources sent to red earlier, so that red could have recovered in the corner. Might have been a good strategy to go for. I'm of course criticizing now from an armchair, so take that for what it is. I mean, obviously these games are so chaotic; it's really hard to coordinate and communicate with allies sometimes. But anyway, I do think that Yellow did a great job of recovering. He had lost his Paladin army that had raided all the way on Team West and just given Team West a real run for their money. Taking out so many villagers. Even Gray's base was being raided, and he did a good job of rebounding from that and using up all the food he had amassed. Gray, of course, absolutely solid. Once he was on the move, he just didn't stop. Went through Red's base, and then went knocking all the way over. And of course, he did face some adversity, but kept up the pressure. And then Blue, yeah, just I mean, obviously being on the front line, it's always the most difficult position of any player. Definitely amazing job sticking in, staying in the game and continuing to fight. Might have suggested building a bit more back here, but it is really hard to do during the chaos of a battle to think about that. But that's one thing I like about this map, though. There is extra space, so you can retreat, you can build new walls. So there is a chance for your team to kind of, if they lose the front line, they can rebound and build new walls. And I think for Teal, so this is me playing here, definitely that raid at the beginning of the game where I just kind of went on the grand tour of Team East. Definitely, I think that was probably the best moment there for me, hurting Red early on. Bit of a weak phase there in the middle of the game where I lost track of rally points and allowed my units to just run in helplessly there and allow Team East to kind of begin to steamroll the northern frontier here. But was happy more or less with how I was able to come back from that and get my gold units together here, and the cannons and everything else, cannon-towers, and eventually push back on the northern front line. So yeah, just really interesting game. Most games do not go this long on ranked maps. This one went an hour and 20 minutes in game time. So definitely big hats off to my opponents, who were really great, and of course to my allies. So really awesome game all around. And of course, big thanks to all of you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll just go check out the stats here quickly. So you see pretty intense. Okay, so Gray had the best kill ratio there. And here we have Purple. Purple on Team East got the most kills, 940. So very impressive there. And Yellow, the least amount of losses, also very impressive. So yeah, so definitely strong opponents. Happy to have the largest army. I think that was, again, thanks to Yellow for taking out so many of my villagers, which can be kind of an indirect good thing at that phase in the game. Really bad early in the game to lose all your villagers, but at that later phase where I had too many villagers and all kinds of units queued up in the buildings and couldn't be built because of the excess villager population, that was kind of a good thing in a weird way. So you see Team West definitely had the stronger trade. I had lost a lot of trade cards, so my trade was actually maybe not quite as high as I thought it was, but still Team West did a good job of trading. And then Team East, of course, also traded, which was great. Somehow with the relics, that helped my gold count. Yeah, interesting. Gray had 2 relics as well. And I believe here you're going to see it with the society. This is where you see the villager count. So pretty high, 146. Purple at 138. I honestly think it's fine to have a high number of villagers early in the game. But you just have to make sure to keep track of it so that you can go past the boom phase and actually convert all that economy into military units later on. So there it is, trade units. I had 40 at one point. but I didn't have the most trade income. So that shows you what happened. I lost them through Yellow's raid. Yellow had a very effective raid. I don't usually think of Paladins as being a good raiding unit against trade, but because a lot of my trade units were just sitting ducks, those Paladins were able to get some good unit kills there. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Big thanks to everyone who played, and yeah, catch you on the next one. Cheers.